Hello, guys. Thank you very much for joining in. Hi, this is Ganesh Nayak. I help finance professionals and students to excel in their career, and I also help students preparing for FRM and CFA exam. We have with us one of our students, Jatin. He has been able to clear the FRM Level 1 in May 2023 attempt. Today, he's going to be talking about his journey of preparation, what mistakes he did, and what was the main thing that led him to succeed in the exam. And before we move ahead, just a small disclaimer: he was my student with Question Bank. He's not taken the videos. He was referring to the YouTube crash course that I had uploaded and the question bank solving. So let us start with the discussion. First of all, Jatin, thank you very much for taking out time. And if you can give us a brief about your background before you started the preparation for FRM.
Okay, sir. I've done my master's in aerospace from IIT Kanpur. After that, I'm having about 3 years of experience working in portfolio risk modeling. So I work on the cards CCAR and CSEL model.
Okay. So it's a core risk modeling role that you are into right
Yes.
now also. Okay. Now, what was the major motivation for you to move to FRM or do FRM? Because you're already into risk.
Yes. So, sir, mainly it was because I'm already in the risk modeling team. So I came to know about that FRM is a very prestigious certificate and it gives you a good amount of understanding of the backgrounds of risk and all. So that is what led me to start
Okay.
working for FRM.
Okay. And when did you basically started your preparation for FRM? Which month?
So, sir, Jan, I bought your question bank on 19th or 20th of Jan. So that is when.
And before that, you had just seen the curriculum or the
Yes,
books by any chance, or
yes,
you just
yes.
started? Okay, you had seen that. Okay. And what was the book? Which book you had referred for preparing for the exam?
Shweza, Shweza summary
You didn't
notebooks.
refer GAR or any other books?
So I
GAR only
started
did.
with that. I read one chapter from Gar, but it was very long and it took a lot of time. So I just stuck with Shweza.
Okay. And while you were going through the content, was there any particular order that you were following, or it was just book one, book two, or you had some specific order in mind?
So, sir, you provided that Excel in which all the chapters was listed in some specific order. So I followed that only.
Okay, wonderful. And so when you started in the month of January, so what was the number of hours that you were dedicating? Because you were also working. So how were you managing that time?
So, sir, initially for a week or two, I was able to get 45 minutes to 1 hour per day. But then my job got a bit tough and there were deliverables and all, and it reduced to sometimes I was able to give only 1 hour per week.
Okay, 1 hour per
So,
week.
so
Oh,
yes,
so consistency was slightly a problem
just
in that.
yes, definitely.
So what was how many chapters you were able to complete in the first month, or say in the first
In
and the
the
second month?
first month, first and second month, I was able to cover, I remember, 4 or 5 chapters.
Okay. So basically, what was the status around 31st of March of your preparation?
So, sir, till 31st March and Feb March, 3 months will be. I'm not 100% sure, but it would have been 7, 8, or max to max 10 chapters.
And that was around 2.5 months because you started in Jan end, roughly. Because
Yes.
Jan 19th,
Yes.
you mentioned. So 2.5 months, around 10 chapters. Were you confident on that day regarding the
No,
exam?
not exactly. No,
And you had
I
already
was pretty.
registered in Jan.
Yes.
Huh, you were saying something.
Yes, I was saying that I was pretty stressed at that time, and I was trying my level hard to get some more chapters in and get some more study hours. But I was busy with multiple things at that time, so it was tough.
Okay. So if suppose I look at till your 31st of March journey, so what do you say, major challenge or the biggest challenge that you faced till that time frame? Was it only time?
Yes, time would be the major challenge. So when I was reading the chapters and all, I was able to understand what they are saying. So study part was not that difficult, but time management was difficult.
Okay. So, and when did you complete your full reading of the curriculum?
14th of May. So about 5 days
Okay,
before
there's
my
some.
exam date.
Acha, so it was 14th of May. Okay, there's some disturbance in
Yes.
between. So around
Sorry.
14th of May, 5 days before the exam, you were able to complete one full reading. And what about the question solving, the chapter-wise questions?
So I was able to solve the question wise, the chapter wise questions of about 10 questions till then. 10 chapters, sorry.
Till which date?
14th of March. So 14th of May.
So basically, you didn't solve the question bank properly.
No.
Okay, okay, take it,
I,
no problem.
I
And
just
then,
went through the sorry, I just went through the questions of Schwezer, but not the question bank.
okay, okay, no problem. And then, so you from the 1st of April, did you increase the number of time, the number of hours that you were
Yes.
putting in?
Yes.
How many hours you were putting
So
in at that point of
so
time?
after 1st of April, I was able to put in at least 1 to 2 hours per day. So sometimes it was 1 hour, sometimes it was two.
Okay, this is still less, right?
So sir, my
Even 2 hours.
background helps
Okay.
me a lot actually.
Ha, ha. For this background definitely helped you a lot. Okay. Now, when we talk about your, did you appear for any mock papers in the exam, before the exam?
Yes. So one day before the exam, I solved one of your mock tests, full length.
Okay, full level. What was the average score that you got in that mock?
So honestly, what happened that so my exam was on 19th May, and I started giving that mock. So I finished all your revision lectures by about 10 p.m. that the day before that. So that will be 18th of May. So I started giving that mock, but I was thinking that I should have sufficient amount of sleep as well because next day morning is my paper. So I only attempted about 86 questions from that mock, and I was able to get 60 questions correct out of those 86.
Okay, so the accuracy was good during the mock
Yes,
solves. Okay. Now, when 19th was the last day of the exam,
yes,
right? Last day of the window.
yes.
So, first of all, when you went to the exam, what happened in that first 1 hour of the exam? Did you
So,
face any
sir,
very difficult level of question, or was it very easy? What was that?
so it was a mix, I would say. So some questions forced me to think a lot, but some questions were easy.
Okay, so it was a mix. And how you were able to manage the time? That means 4 hours for 100 questions in the exam.
So I was up until 96th question, I was doing perfectly fine. But the last four questions, so the thing is that I was having about 5 or 10 minutes remaining for the last four questions, but those were a bit lengthy questions. So I had to skim those.
Okay, and you did you get any buffer time at the end, or was
No,
it just no? Okay,
just the four
and
hours.
how many theory and how many calculation questions were there in your exam, roughly?
I would say about 70%, 60 to 70% of them were theory.
Okay, and what was your accuracy? Because when you were preparing, did you focus more on calculation or focus more on theory while preparing?
So I focused mainly on theory because I was aware that it will be mainly a theoretical paper.
Okay, and when you went to the exam on that day, the you said around 30 questions were theory. So what was the bifurcation as per your preparatory level, that easy is this much or difficult is this much?
So I would say some were easy, some were moderate level difficulty. I faced a very few hard questions in calculations.
Okay, so if you are prepared well, you are able to manage the calculation questions
Yes,
properly.
definitely.
Okay, did they give any specific formula directly in the question, or is it like you had to remember everything and solve?
I I,
Like
I had
for example, you have
to.
Black-Scholes model, and in that you have to calculate D1, ND1, then solve everything. So because I've heard that a lot of students they were directly given the formula, of ND1 or ND1 was directly calculated like that. So was it the focus was more on remembering the formula or more on conceptual side of the calculation?
So as far as I remember, it was mainly on the calculation side. But if we talk about a smaller or simpler formulas and also those were not provided.
Okay, okay. And what about the theory section? What is the status in the theory?
So theory was also a mix and match of questions. So there were very long format questions in which they were giving some sort of a case or scenario sort of a thing, and then ask you what to do.
Okay. And you're a part of the Telegram group also, right? So where people were basically
Yes.
giving uh, information or idea that what is the overall question, uh, that kind concepts that have been tested. So you did you got help from that in your actual exam, or did you
Yes,
see some similar
a lot
concept?
actually. So, sir, in April as well, I asked you a question that right now I still have a lot of syllabus left. So you referred me to your YouTube video in which you discuss all the important chapters for level one.
Ah,
So I mainly focused on those chapters, and the questions were mainly from
okay,
those chapters.
okay, perfect, perfect. And now when the result when you came out of the exam question, okay, was there any number in your mind that I will get this much correct or this much right overall?
I was hoping to get 50 to 60 questions right at least.
Okay, perfect. And now when the results are out, what the quartiles are like 1, 2, 1, 1. So
Yes.
almost first quartile in book three and book four. So when you're preparing also, you were confident on book three and book four?
Not exactly. I was just going through the material and trying to understand the fundamentals. So the thing with me is that I was more confident on book two. So maybe that is why I overlooked it and got a second quartile.
Because of your work profile. So work book two was more related to your work. So
Yes.
okay, cool. Now what has been the reaction of people around you when they've obviously they know that you've cleared the exam. So what is the reaction?
So everyone is pretty happy with that, and my colleagues as well.
And
So
generally,
they
do you see,
congratulated.
and generally do you see? I mean, in your risk team also a lot of people are doing FRM course, correct?
So one of my colleague was also doing this course with me.
Okay. Okay. Cool. And now, if I ask you to tell me basically one or two, or say three mistakes that you did in your entire preparation, and you could have avoided that.
Okay. So first one will be obviously time management. So I should have been more consistent and given at least 1 hour regularly. That would have helped me a lot. The thing is that that would have made the last 1 week of my life a bit easier. So if I talk about the last 3 days, so I started your crash course, that the one that you have on YouTube. I started that on Tuesday, and that is about a 35 hour playlist, right?
Hmm.
So I
Yes.
finished that in 3 days. So I was just
Okay.
focusing on those videos. So if I would have given at least 1 hour daily, those 3 days would have been easier for me. So that will be one. Second is that I would say that if you are from a accounts background, don't overlook book two. So it will be definitely easy for a lot of quants people, but what happens is that if we know that the thing is easy, we tend to overlook it.
Okay.
And the
Perfect.
third will be that yes, don't stress too much on the exam day. So don't think a lot about what your result is gonna be and all. Just relax and focus on your paper.
Okay, wonderful. Generally, I ask for three tips from the candidate, but I have asked
Hmm.
slightly different from you with respect to the mistake part because I realized that the time was not utilized properly. But see, ultimately, you've been able to clear and you've been able to grasp things, and the concepts were clear, and which shows in your quartile also. So definitely, that is not actually a problem. But for normal students, they have to start early and start preparing and going for the exam in the due course of time. So from that
Yes.
perspective, so Wonderful. I mean, Jatin, thank you very much for taking out time and talking about your journey and how you were able to clear the exam from in roughly around 4.5, 5 months from the date, and also the major effort that went down was from 1st of April itself. So your story will motivate people. At least, I mean, if suppose on 1 month before the exam they are not in good shape, at least they will fight and they will give a best shot and go for the exam. So from that perspective, because you didn't solve much mocks, it was only one mock. Question bank was also not that much heavy. You focused more on the YouTube crash course or the important chapter concept, and you were able to manage and get the results. So I'm sure this video will help a lot of students in terms of motivation for the exam to clear and give their best shot. So thank you very much, Jatin. Thank you for taking out time.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.